One of the biggest mistakes a lot of new editors do is editing too fast and over-editing. Text comes behind them, flashes come, something in the corner pops up, they cut to a meme, this animation then comes up, everything then flips upside down and then something explodes and that was 2 seconds. Every time I see that, I always ask the question, why?
What if I told you the secret behind YouTube's biggest stars isn't the person you see on screen, but the unseen genius shaping their videos? For years, editors were hidden in the shadows, kept a secret by those they were editing for.
Until now, I think.
This is Hayden Hillier-Smith, an editor who's completely changed the game on YouTube, but after editing videos for Logan Paul, MrBeast, Mark Rober, and other YouTube giants, he's brought in millions of views and outstanding retention rates, and is now regarded by many as YouTube's greatest video editor.
You're like the guy for editing.
But he's developed a system so effective, it's redefined what it means to create unforgettable videos. Not by using flashy effects, but by mastering something far more powerful. Hayden didn't start as a world-class editor. In fact, his YouTube journey began back in 2005 when YouTube was in its earliest form.
I signed up to YouTube when it was a dating website. That was his original intent.
His early videos were raw and unpolished, but they laid the foundation for a career that would soon redefine YouTube editing. Fast forward, and Hayden is hired by Logan Paul, who's now one of the platform's biggest creators of all time. Hayden was no longer editing homemade videos for his own channel, he was helping to shape the persona of a YouTube giant in the making. It was during the time with Logan that he introduced a style of editing to YouTube that no one had ever seen before, and it was bringing him big results. His secret? A set of 4 editing principles that turn videos into unforgettable experiences. And at the heart of these principles lies his most powerful skill: mastering the art of emotional editing. On YouTube, one word rules them all:
Retention.
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 And retention.
Retention has become the holy grail, something to chase, to optimize, and to measure. But for many creators, retention has become all about editing for the algorithm rather than focusing on the one thing that truly matters: the audience. The result? Videos are edited in a way that are technically perfect but emotionally hollow. And while that might hold their attention for a while, by the time they watch the next video, they've already forgotten what they've just watched. Hayden saw this flaw and decided to change the game, challenging how most creators think about retention. He realised that retention isn't just about keeping people watching, it's about making them care. Instead of editing solely for zeros and ones, Hayden's edits make people feel. And his approach is built on 3 pillars: emotion, story, and rhythm. And emotion is the foundation of it all. In every edit Hayden creates, his cuts are intentional, designed to evoke heartbreak, anger, excitement, joy, whatever the story requires. Because when people feel emotionally connected to a video, they don't just watch it, they remember it. As Hayden puts it himself,
The true secret to retention is to get me emotionally engaged and to bottom line, make me care.
But one of the worst things to happen to creators is pouring hours into the intro of a video only to watch their retention plummet in the first few seconds. But Hayden's somewhat secret technique for sky-high retention is his rollercoaster intro method, a technique that's helped videos like Logan Paul's Pokemon vlog achieve an incredible 75% retention rate. Imagine stepping into a theme park ride. Hayden's intros work the same. They don't just set the scene by telling you what's about to come in the video, they strap you into a roller coaster ride where every single second that goes by grips you tighter. In Logan Paul's Pokemon video, it's like the viewer is strapped to a seat of anticipation, climbing second by second towards a big drop. And after the intense build up at 21 seconds, we hit the peak and dive down into Logan's backstory, plunging into the heart of the video, the why behind his hunt for the $5.3 million Pokemon card. The edit gives this feeling of descending at high speed, with a rush of Pokemon cards and search results flying past the viewer. The adrenaline-fueled intro gives the viewer a sense that the video is going to be exciting, filled with plenty of emotional twists and turns. But that's when we hit the first major stop. Suddenly, you're face to face with the stakes, the rare, priceless Pokemon card Logan is chasing. The ride picks up once again, with Hayden's cuts and Pokemon-style animations adding pace, thrill, and nostalgia to the video, all tying into that key word, emotion. As Logan teases the mystery, the rarity, the unknown number of copies of this card, the edit takes the viewer to the final climb of the intro, leaving viewers on a cliffhanger. At one last descent, Hayden stops the rollercoaster intro at the goal.
And I wanted one.
In just a minute and 40 seconds, Hayden's editing doesn't just capture your attention, it demands it. The editing has whipped the viewer through peaks, twists and drops that keep the adrenaline pumping, and by the time the intro ends, you're not just watching, you're strapped in, fully committed to the rest of the ride. Which brings us to our first lesson, emotion, the real engine behind Hayden's method. The one thing every human being has in common is the capacity to feel. Every interaction we have is tied to emotion. It's instinctive, and it's Hayden's deep understanding of this universal truth that helps him to create videos that resonate with viewers. His edits don't just entertain, they leave lasting impact, making viewers want to come back for more, even inspiring the biggest creators to rethink their editing strategies. But here's the thing, emotion isn't something viewers simply feel, it's something they have to believe first. Hayden's genius lies in translating the raw emotions of the creator into something the audience truly believes, and he does this by mastering two core principles. The first is story showing over storytelling. Many creators fall into the trap of telling their audience how they feel instead of showing them how they feel. They rely on exposition and narrating their emotions or experiences, which can feel forced and unauthentic, which leaves the viewer disconnected and unengaged. Imagine watching a creator say, "I was so scared," but their tone, body language and visuals don't match the statement. You don't believe it, so you don't feel it. Without the emotional connection, viewers lose interest and the retention rate suffers. But Hayden uses an approach which helps to improve the believability of the emotion on screen through story showing. Instead of telling, he builds emotion through visuals, pacing and subtle cues that show how the creator feels. A nervous glance, a shaky hand, or a sudden pause in rhythm. It's about immersing the viewer in the emotion. But how do you make the audience feel something without saying a single word? Well, most creators don't realise the power of using juxtaposition, placing two shots next to each other to create meaning. Without understanding how shots work together, videos can lack emotional depth and feel flat. For example, you might have a shot of a creator's neutral face. On its own, it doesn't mean much, but when it's paired with a shot of a crying child, the audience feels sadness. Pair that same face with a plate of food and it shows hunger. This is the Kuleshov effect, and ignoring it means missing out on a huge opportunity to translate emotion through visual storytelling. Hayden uses this principle like a true master. He crafts emotional sequences pairing contrasting shots that force the audience to connect the dots themselves. This subtle manipulation of meaning makes viewers feel emotion rather than having it spelled out. But there's another emotional retention principle that Hayden uses. Every single cut must have a purpose. Editing isn't just about trimming the fluff or adding flashy effects to keep the algorithm happy, it's about creating a conversation between the shots, where every cut has intention and every transition serves a purpose. If this happens, then this happens. That's the core of Hayden's approach. Every cut needs to answer the question, why is this shot here? What does it say about the next? Let's break it down. Adding emotion and meaning to a sequence. Imagine you're editing a sequence. You start with a shot of a pencil, then cut to some paper. Okay, but why? What story is that sequence telling? Now imagine adding a third shot, a hand picking up the pen, or a face in deep thought, followed by a shot of the paper. Suddenly the sequence transforms from disconnected visuals into a conversation. The shots begin to speak to each other, crafting a story without needing a single word of narration. This is the power of intentional editing. Hayden ensures every shot builds on the last, triggering emotions that pull the viewer deeper into the video. But here's where it gets really interesting. The music you pair with those shots can change the entire meaning of the sequence. Play an uplifting score, and it feels like the character is about to write a master plan for their life. Add a soft, nostalgic tune, and it feels like they're writing a heartfelt love letter. Using eerie tones makes it feel like they're writing a confession that could change everything. By intentionally choosing how each cut contributes to the narrative and how music motivates that story, Hayden's edits impact viewers far more than motion blur on a piece of text or fancy transitions ever could. But one of the hardest parts in editing is letting go of the shots you love. You spend hours perfecting a scene, but when you watch the final cut, something feels off. The pacing drags or the emotion doesn't hit as hard as it should. Why? Because those darling shots, the ones you love the most, might not actually serve the story. Hayden understands that holding on to unnecessary shots slows the pacing and dilutes the emotional impact of your edits. It's tempting to leave in that beautiful drone shot or clever transition you worked so hard on, but if it doesn't move the story forward, it's dead weight. It has no reason to be there. And your audience will feel it, which leads to a drop in retention, and the video won't resonate the way you hoped. You see, Hayden swears by the principle of murder your darlings.
I mean, I shot that intro probably 17 times.
That feels like a murder your darlings moment. You put in a lot of effort to get that shot, so you feel compelled to put it in the edit.
Every shot must pass one test. Does this shot serve the story? Does it increase the believability of a certain emotion? If it doesn't, it has to go, no matter how much effort went into creating it. This ruthless approach that Hayden has ensures that every moment in the video is intentional, purposeful, and emotionally impactful. By treating editing as a conversation and cutting ruthlessly, Hayden ensures his videos do more than just retain viewers, they captivate them, keeping them emotionally invested throughout the entire video. But there's a technique just as powerful as continuing the conversation with another shot, which is leaving a scene open-ended. Not every shot needs a response. Leaving a scene open-ended gets viewers asking questions and sparks curiosity, making the viewer want to find out more. But if there's one thing that keeps viewers glued to a video, it's tension. Without it, viewers get bored and click off the video. But Hayden has mastered the art of using stakes to create tension. Whether it's Logan Paul hunting for a $5.3 million Pokemon card or a creator attempting an impossible challenge, Hayden makes sure the stakes are crystal clear from the start. But here's the key. Stakes aren't just about life or death situations, they're about giving the viewer a reason to care. But why are stakes so important for retention? Well, when viewers don't know why they're watching, their attention drifts, they click off the video and move on to something else. And for many creators, the stakes are too vague or non-existent, meaning there's no real reason for viewers to stay engaged. Most videos fail to engage viewers because they lack a clear sense of tension. Think about it. If the audience doesn't know what's at risk or why the story matters, they won't feel invested. So why should they waste their time on something that isn't worth it? Hayden knows that tension doesn't just come from what's happening, it comes from what could happen. By establishing stakes early and weaving tension into the story, it gives the audience something to root for or against. With Logan Paul's Pokemon card video, within seconds Hayden establishes the stakes. Logan is hunting for one of the rarest cards in the world, but no one knows how many copies are left, including Logan.
No one knows.
That single line creates a powerful curiosity gap. Will Logan find it? What if he doesn't? So Hayden has nailed down how to introduce and escalate tension, but he does it by using two powerful techniques. Firstly, creating curiosity gaps. A curiosity gap is an open question that keeps viewers guessing. Hayden uses these gaps to leave viewers hanging just enough to keep them watching. In the Pokemon card video, Hayden teases the audience by using a clip of Logan saying,
I may have an opportunity to purchase the one and only PSA 10 Pikachu illustrator in the world.
That mystery drives the viewer to stay until the end for the answer, to find out whether Logan can actually get his hands on one and the means he has to go through to get it. Hayden strategically reveals information bit by bit, keeping the audience engaged without overwhelming them. But tension also comes from the dynamics between characters or elements in the video. Hayden amplifies these moments to make the stakes feel bigger. For example, when Logan negotiates to buy the card, the scene actually lasted over an hour when shooting, but Hayden just uses key moments to create hesitation, doubt, or uncertainty to build tension, and the edited scene is just under 1 minute. You only need to represent the feeling of the experience, not the whole experience. But this is when power dynamics come into play. There are points in the video where Logan has all the power, but that power dynamic can change within a sentence, putting the power into someone else's hands. But Hayden is careful not to over-edit. He balances high energy scenes with slower moments, ensuring the pacing feels natural to prevent viewer fatigue. allow intention to build over time. So why does this work? Well, stakes give viewers a reason to care, curiosity gaps keep them guessing, power dynamics add unpredictability, and pacing ensures they don't feel overwhelmed. But one of the biggest mistakes creators make is just chasing editing trends. While it's tempting to jump on every new trend to stay relevant, the problem with trend-locked editing is that it only keeps your video relevant for as long as the trend lasts. The second that trend fades, so does the shelf life of the video. So how do you make edits that last? How do you ensure your video remains relevant, watchable, and impactful years after it's uploaded? Well, Hayden avoids this trap by focusing on two things. The first is timeless emotions. Hayden taps into emotions, and emotions are evergreen. They never go out of fashion. This means his edits will always make viewers feel something meaningful. The second is universal stakes. He implements stakes that everyone can relate to, whether it's triumph, struggle, money, or doubt. Hayden's evergreen editing style isn't just about avoiding trends, it's about making videos that stand the test of time. But if you want to dive even deeper into how creators craft viral, rewatchable content, there's one method you need to know, and it's covered in this video that takes you through Zach Alsop's proven formula that helps him go viral every time.